Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we are using a team that might look a little bit familiar to you guys. It's really similar to the Psychic Spam Trick Room team that I built on Showdown about a week ago. This is kind of a different take on that team. It was built by a player called Federico Viticci, so thank you to Federico for showing me his version of the team. This is a rental team, as you can see, so feel free to try it out yourselves. The code is on the description, or in the description, as well as on the screen. I've also linked Federico's Twitter in the description below. But as you can see, there are two small adjustments. Instead of Alakazam, which I originally had on my team, this has Azumarill, which was an adjustment I actually really wanted to try out. And it also has Rillaboom over Amoonguss. A version of this team with the Azumarill was actually able to top cut like a recent grassroots tournament. My good friend Angel Miranda piloted that version of the team. So I think Azumarill with Life Orb is a really interesting Pokemon to try to feature under Trick Room, especially because I wasn't really using Alakazam very much in the original version of my team. But if you want to try out my original version with Alakazam and Amoonguss, I've also linked a code in the description below. Thanks to Rob Raff for building that in game. So as you guys have seen with this team, the goal is relatively simple. It's to try to set up Trick Room, which is almost always guaranteed either through like Hatterene Porygon or Hatterene Indeedee, for example, or I should say Porygon Indeedee. And the only way that you can really stop it is basically through Imprison, but it's pretty predictable when you're going up against a Pokemon with Imprison. So if you're going up against something that you think can imprison you, you just knock that Pokemon out and then set up Trick Room in the subsequent turns. Otherwise, you have Marowak and Azumarill. You really want to sweep with them and Dynamax them. Marowak obviously being a really strong Dynamax candidate, one of the newer Pokemon added to VGC 2020. And then a Rillaboom in general, I think, is a really strong Pokemon. It's one of the most used Pokemon in the format right now with the Salt Vest, able to take attacks really well. Priority Grassy Glide is just super, super strong, and it gives you an option against opposing Psy Spam teams. So yeah, excited to give this a try. Thank you to Federico for showing me his version of the team, and let's jump into today's episode. Thank you guys very much for watching the content recently. It's really exciting to see so many people come out and tune into the videos, and as I've been saying, I'm really excited for Series 5 just because it does kind of feel like a brand new VGC format, so that's pretty cool. So I appreciate everyone for coming in and tuning into the videos, and if you've tuned into a live stream recently, I also really appreciate it. And question of the day, I'm curious just how Series 5 has been going for you. Have you made it to Master Ball tier yet? How have your games been going? What Pokemon are you enjoying playing with? What do you think of the format overall? Let me know in the comments below. For me personally, I've been having some fun with it. We actually streamed the other day, and we were able to go like 10-2 and get to like nearly close to the top 100 on the ladder, which I thought was pretty exciting. But yeah, excited to just try out as many teams as possible, especially in these first couple of weeks. So let's jump into today's episode. Okay, so we're going up against Sun. I think a bunch of interesting things here. The male Indeedee, which actually could have Imprison and Trick Room. So actually have to be very careful about that. Male Indeedee potentially threatens with Imprison, Trick Room. There's also Talonflame, which can taunt. So like I was saying, if we want to beat Trick Room, or sorry, if we want to get rid of Imprison, the goal should be to just knock out Indeedee on the first turn, right? So the question is basically, how do I best knock out Indeedee? Might actually start with Rillaboom, because that gives us terrain control. Also gives us Fake Out into the Talonflame. So I'm thinking Rillaboom plus the Porygon, just because Porygon's pretty bulky here. Otherwise, I could just go Rillaboom Hat and basically go for like foul or like double attack on the first turn. I don't know. My opponent does not have great psychic resists, but I don't know how easy it will be to really get Trick Room up, because I suspect it will be Imprison from the Indeedee. Although actually, if I just go Rillaboom Hat, I could just Fake Out turn 1, right? I just like kind of want two Trick Room options in this game, so Rillaboom, Hat, Porygon, and Marowak. Azumarill doesn't feel that great considering my opponent's like a Sun team. Indeedee actually makes a lot of sense, especially because we have the safety goggles, but I think I have to respect the threat of Imprison on the opposing Indeedee, because as you can see, it's Indeedee male, not female, so it probably, like a lot of those sets I would expect, especially because I don't see a better Trick Room answer for my opponent's team, I expect like Expanding Force, Trick Room, Imprison. So yeah, getting into the first game of today's episode. As always, if you guys enjoy, please share support by leaving a like on the video, I'd really appreciate it. And it is going to be, okay, Indeedee plus the Urshifu. But this is great, right? Because this is exactly kind of what I was expecting, the Indeedee lead. So we have terrain control, which is great, which means we can just launch Fake Out, and I don't even have to care about the Imprison, to be honest. I think we can just Fake Out Trick Room turn 1. And once Trick Room goes up, I think we're in a pretty good spot. Of course, they might have the Torkoal in the back is the one thing that scares me, but Marowak looks really good here, regardless of what my opponent goes for. So I think it's just a Fake Out into Indeedee here in a Trick Room. Yeah, that's exactly why I wanted to lead the Rillaboom. Now, a good play they could make is maybe hard switch Indeedee out into Torkoal. That'd actually put on a lot of pressure and just attack with the Urshifu. Because the main problem is that Torkoal will probably outspeed our entire team. Because I could see my opponent having like a Trick Room mode, basically, with what they've brought. Okay, Indeedee takes a lot of damage, though. It's just going to be Iron Hit. So as long as we don't flinch, we're actually in really good shape here. Hat takes the damage and no flinch. So that is a very, very good first turn for us. That's exactly what we want to see here. So when playing with a more dedicated Trick Room team, you pretty much always have to ask yourselves, like, how does my opponent counter my Trick Room lead? Because, for example, if I just go with the classic Hatterene Indeedee lead here, Imprison just completely screws me over. So you always got to be thinking about what your opponent's best answer against you basically is. Fighting Dark, I mean, I'm free to just Dazzling Gleam. The only question is, like, do you switch out here? I think that's pretty likely, and I could see, like, something switching out into the Torkoal. Maybe the Urshifu. So, like, Knockoff and Dazzling Gleam here is pretty safe. It's just that the Indeedee might get an attack off, but do I really care about it getting an attack off? I don't think so. Oh, I guess I could always reverse my Trick Room. Yeah, sorry, I have to respect that. So, yeah, I'm just going to go for the safe Knockoff and Dazzling Gleam. Like, I could totally see Indeedee protecting as Urshifu switches out into Torkoal, but it's going to be Indeedee switching out, which is fine by me. And it's Heliolisk coming in, which makes me think my opponent does not have Torkoal, because you do not want to be switching that in right now. So that's a really good turn for us, because we might even just KO the Heliolisk, honestly. Let's see. And, like, if you bring the Indeedee back in, you set up the terrain for us, which is really nice. So we get the Dazzling Gleam off. Really solid damage. Knockoff comes out as well. So I think when people look at this team, you might be like, why in the world would you have, like, Rillaboom next to Hatterene and Indeedee, right? That seems kind of counterintuitive, but this is exactly why. It's really hard to deny hard Trick Room when you have Fake Out and Redirection. And my version of this team obviously didn't have Fake Out, and they don't have Torkoal in the back, so this is, I think, going to be really rough for my opponent. I think you pretty much have to max the Venusaur here. We know that the Urshifu protected. We know that there is a... something in the back. The Indeedee in the back. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to max Venusaur, so I think I'm just going to go for the knockoff onto the Venusaur and a Dazzling Gleam. Like, Marowak cleans this up pretty easily, right? Like, the only play I'm worried about is my opponent going for a double protect. I'm thinking of committing the double up here. Although I think yeah, I mean, Urshifu is going to faint from a Dazzle. I don't mind getting rid of Venusaur's item, honestly. Yeah, so let's just attack here. Like, they actually do end up switching out. Yeah, I thought that was kind of risky because I could Expanding Force, but that makes sense. Maybe I should have pushed the tempo a little bit more offensively then. I could have also just maxed my hat and gone for, like, max Psychic onto Venusaur. Yeah, so Venusaur's gonna max. I mean, I don't mind this too much. You knock out a Pokemon of mine, I get a free switch into Marowak, so it's okay. The most important thing is we got Trick Room up in this game, and there's still gonna be multiple turns of Trick Room after this turn. But nice play by my opponent. I could have maybe gone for the Psychic instead. But I thought here you really don't want to risk switching in the Indeedee, and you want to go for the double protect. So this play was basically to cover for the double protect option, which I thought was maybe fine. But get rid of Venusaur's item. It's actually AV. Oh, interesting. Okay, so he's going to go for Max Ooze. I have to say the Assault Vest is actually slightly scary because it means... Well, okay. It's both good and bad. It's good because we know that it doesn't have Sleep Powder or Max Guard, but it means it probably has Max Quake. And a Max Quake against Marowak will do a fair amount of damage, right? So, like, if I bring out Marowak right now, obviously I could just go for Max Flare. Actually, I think that's fine, right? Because, like, a Max Quake shouldn't be KOing us. The only other consideration is to just hard bring out Porygon right now to knock out the Indeedee and get the free switch into Marowak. Also, by losing Hat, my Urshifu counters actually become kind of shady here. I think I'm just going to bring out Marowak, though. Yeah. Gonna bring out Marowak here. We should survive a Max Quake. I mean, they're bulky with Assault Vests, so I think that should be fine. I'm just gonna switch out into Porygon here. Let's see. It's 2 turns of Trick Room left. So we have 1 more turn. Yeah, by switching Rillaboom out, we could potentially just switch it back in to get another Trick Room up. So I'm just gonna max and then Flare. Because here, if you don't go for Follow Me, I just KO you, right? And if you go for Follow Me, I knock out the Indeedee, and then I can just launch a Max Flare into Venusaur the subsequent turn. I will say that last turn was a nice play by my opponent, though. I was thinking really heavily of going for the knockout onto the Indeedee, and I think if we just KO that, we'd pretty much have the game locked up. Because then I can just bring in Marowak and Flare, and essentially this buys my opponent a turn of my Trick Room. I wasn't expecting Assault Vest Venusaur, so that's pretty cool to see. But I think even with the special attack boost, Marowak should definitely be able to take a Max Quake. Yeah. It's just scary because we do have to play against late game Urshifu. But if they don't follow me here, they're done for. And they don't follow me. Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. So that should KO Venusaur. Nice. I guess they're just expanding Forcing then, but I think Max Flare should knock out Indeedee through Protect here. It's the last turn of Trick Room. This is why I was like, yeah, if we picked up a knockout last turn, like with Trick Room, Hard Trick Room, your goal is to really just pick up a KO on every turn. You give up a turn of... Oh, they're going to reverse my Trick Room. That's actually very smart. Okay. This is actually super interesting now. Because, like, my opponent has kind of checkmated me with the Urshifu, right? Like, this is kind of the ideal situation you have with late game Urshifu. I could obviously switch my Porygon out into Rillaboom here, though. Change the terrain. Which I think is good. And probably just launch a Max Flare here into Indeedee, just to force it to be... I'm not sure you can knock out my Marowak, given that we're maxed, even with Urshifu plus Indeedee. Especially because I'm changing the terrain here as well. Even if you KO me, I get Porygon in, and I can just fake out the Urshifu and Trick Room the next turn. So I think we're still fine. But yeah, that definitely is Imprison Indeedee with Trick Room, I think. Yep, nice. So that's what I was saying to you guys. Yeah, like, you should expect... This is how you beat Imprison, basically. Alright, there's Wicked Blow. Crits, obviously. But we survive. Beautiful. Okay, so this is great. I could have targeted the Urshifu there, but I was worried about it, like, protecting. In retrospect, it probably would have been better to target it there. But I don't think Urshifu can 3v1 at this point. Especially because it's not... Well, I mean, we know it's not Assault Vest, not that that really makes a difference, but... here the fake out's super obvious, but I think I still go for it. And then question is, I think I actually want to go for the Phantasm for the defense drop here. Because, like, Flare's not doing that much damage through Protect anyway, so with the defense drop, it just means every single Grassy Glide does more damage. Yeah. Okay. So, there were 2 turns that were a little tricky about this game. I think the Urshifu switching out into Indeedee was a pretty predictable play that I could have gone for. That actually did more damage than I expected. But the problem with Urshifu is that you have to take Grassy Glides with -1 defense. And, like, you're kind of forced to knock out the Marowak here. I'm not even sure you one-hit KO'd my Porygon, to be honest. So all I have to do here is just click Flare Blitz and Grassy Glide. And this is why I wanted to knock out the Indeedee, basically force the numbers game in my favor, where it's a 3-on-1. So... We could have gotten a little bit more damage off with Flare there, but I think Phantasm is better just to get that defense drop. Because I think Grassy Glide is probably a 2-hit KO now. Oh, that's almost a 1-hit KO by itself. So Wicked Blow comes out. Is going to target the Marowak, but another Grassy Glide will KO. Yeah, so that's exactly why we go for that defense drop there. I guess if Indeedee had Helping Hand, they could have gone for a Helping Hand Wicked Blow, which maybe actually would have KO'd us, which I guess could be pretty scary. But the good thing now is we've kind of checkmated our opponent, right? We can go for Grassy Glide and Trick Room, even if you go for, like, multiple protects. I mean, basically at this point, Urshifu can't knock out both Pokemon on the same turn. So we saw Iron Head, Wicked Blow, Protect. Curious what the last attack is. But yeah, ultimately my opponent not having the Torkoal made my life a lot easier. I think Torkoal scared me a fair amount, but this is one of the reasons, one of the many reasons why Rillaboom is so good. Like, it was really essential to us winning this game, right? Not only did it give us that fake out in the beginning, but it also gave us the really strong attacks in the end. So this is, I think, a really good lesson if you're trying to play with Hard Trick Room. People often think, like, an Imprison is just, like, a really easy counter to shut down Trick Room, but one of the ways you can be proactive is basically see the Imprison in team preview. So things like Alakazam, Chandelure, Dusclops could have Imprison, although that one's a little bit shakier. Indeedee Male, I think, is a very clear... Like, that just screamed Imprison, honestly, because it's like, what else is it on that team for? Because there's no other Pokemon to, like, take advantage of, like, Psychic Spam, for example. Wow, that's one heck of a team. Blastoise, Inteleon, Copperajah, Vileplume, okay, I mean, all of that's crazy, honestly. It's a really cool team. Okay. How do I want to approach this? I mean, Max Marowak looks pretty good. I guess Copperajah is actually pretty scary. What's their counter to Psy Spam stuff? It's only Copperajah. Nothing else resists Psychic stuff. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of content just to go Hat Indeedee here. Especially because we have the goggles on Indeedee. They don't have terrain control, so it's a pretty free follow me Trick Room turn 1. And then in the back... Like, part of me feels like I need to bring Rillaboom, right? They have 2 Water-type Pokemon, and both are, like, Pokemon that I think are likely to Dynamax. The alternative is to just go with Azumarill and Marowak. But I could just go Marowak Rillaboom here. I don't think we bring Porygon. Yeah, I feel like we should be bringing Marowak, especially for the Copperajah. So it's between Rillaboom and Azumarill. Rillaboom's probably the safer bet. But we haven't really played with Azumarill at all, and I kind of want to just see what it can do. So I'm just going to bring it here. Yeah. So let's see what Azumarill can do here. Really interesting team in general from my opponent's end. There's no, like, strategy, I guess, from it that immediately jumps out to me, which makes me even more curious what the goal is here. But there's just a lot of, like, scary Pokemon, right? Like, Blastoise could be G-Max Blastoise, it could be, like, Shell Smash, but with no terrain control, my opponent's end, Indeedee feels decent here. It's gonna be Togedemaru Copperajah, though. Okay. I actually want to just double-check this thing's space speed. This is probably actually one of the better leads my opponent could have brought against us, as it's Air Bloom. Interesting. That's not too shocking. Yeah, I can't say that's super surprising. Base 30, but Hat still outspeeds this thing under Trick Room. However, I mean, how fast are you, really? Do I want to set up Trick Room? Like, the safe play, for example, is to just Trick Room follow me turn 1. Do you max Copperajah? Are you min speed? I think there's actually a decent chance you are. Yeah, I don't know. I think I still want to set up Trick Room here. This might be a mistake, though, if it's min speed, which it probably is, to be honest. But let's see if they max. They don't max either, which is interesting. Okay. But, okay, they're just going to go for Iron Head. That's fine. Maybe just a double Steel type attack. Oh, wait, that's actually so cool. Steel Roller. I shouldn't be surprised that it went for that either, right? Like, that makes total sense. Is it Life Orb? I kind of expected to be Life Orb here. It is not. Okay. Huh. So this is really interesting, right? Because, like, you could max the Copperajah and then target my Marowak, but Marowak should win that trade-off. So, like, what I want to do here is just Dazzling Gleam, max the Marowak, attack the Copperajah. I expect this thing to outspeed me, to be honest, but I guess we'll find out. Nothing on my opponent's team resists ground. But Flare is stronger, especially if they actually max Copperajah. So I'm just going to Flare Dazzling Gleam here, I think. Steel Roller, really cool. I think that's a move that I need to expect more often. Okay, Copperajah is either not maxing or it's slower than us. Regardless, I think I'll take this turn. Actually, no, I would have preferred Copperajah to max here. I mean, if it maxes after us, that would be the best case scenario, right? I love Shiny Marowak, by the way. It looks so sick. But Togedemaru Copperajah with Steel Roller. Very cool. Okay. Alright, they're going to Spiky Shield Togedemaru, but that means Copperajah is attacking, which is great for us. Okay. So, big question is, do you outspeed Marowak? I think the answer is yes, but to be honest, now my opponent just doesn't have much to beat Trick Room. Oh, and we're faster. That's so good. Okay, nice. This should just KO this. Beautiful. Okay, that was the only fear I had in this game was Copperajah, so now I think we're in a pretty good position. I guess by not bringing Rillaboom, it does mean that my opponent could Dynamax either of their Water-type Pokemon, which is a little scary. Togedemaru is really useless right now. I'm not worried about that at all. I mean, it's going to have Fake Out, Iron Head, Spiky Shield, and maybe Nuzzle. So I can Iron Head into there is Blastoise. Yeah, maybe I should have brought the, Rillaboom. I just really wanted to see Azumarill out, though. I think I'm just going to Dazzling Gleam here and Max Quake, honestly. Like, it gives us a Spadef boost. I don't know, actually. I mean, am I really scared of Togedemaru here? Like, I kind of also feel obligated to just get as much damage off as possible into the Blastoise. Yeah, actually, I don't mind just Gleaming and Phantasming here, I think. Because I think you max the Blastoise here. What I'm worried about is if I target Togedemaru this turn, Blastoise can guard the next turn, which means I don't get a single attack off against it with Marowak while maxed, which I don't think is very good. So it is going to be G-Max Blastoise. Yeah, I think Rillaboom in the back, like I said, was probably going to be the smarter decision, but I really wanted to see if I could do stuff with the Azumarill. I'm not too worried about this right now. Like, yeah, we'll get a Dazzling Gleam off. Actually does a fair amount of damage to both, honestly. And the Phantasm defense drop is such a big deal, especially because, like, if you go for, oh, you know what's really interesting, which I didn't consider? My opponent can't change the weather here. Like, Sun is just guaranteed to be up, because your G-Max move doesn't change the weather. What is that? Oh, White Herb. Okay, so G-Max Cannonoid. Into Marowak. Yeah, that's fine. And probably just Iron Head into us. Okay. I don't even know if this KOs. Oh, we have Sash, so we'll obviously survive. Yeah, but we survive even after the residual, which is really nice. Okay. But this is where it's scary, right? Like, what if my opponent's last one is that Vileplume? It's obviously there's still 2 turns of Trick Room left. I think I'm just going to switch into Azumarill here, because I think you have to protect the Blastoise, I would think. And Max Quake into the Togedemaru, which should get the guaranteed knockout. Yeah. I think switching to Azumarill is relatively risk-free. I don't want the hat to just faint while not doing anything. We should KO the Togedemaru even through a Protect here. Yep, there's Max Guard. Perfect. And Spike and Shield. Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's fine. This is nice too because it gives us a special defense boost, and it also means Azumarill doesn't take any residual damage. It's a 1-hit KO. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, this Marowak is just so freaking strong. Okay, nice. So we have the defense drop doesn't count. Sun is up. We have a Spadef boost on both of these, which is pretty valuable. And I think there's one more turn of Trick Room left, which means we should be in pretty good shape. They have one more turn of Max left on Blastoise too. Shiny Marowak is... like, people always ask me what my favorite shinies are. Marowak might honestly be up there for one of the coolest ones. It is Vileplume as the last one, which scares me a little bit, but as long as they don't get a double protect here, I think we've locked up the game. Oh, we could miss too. I guess that's the other problem. And there's no terrain, so I can't go for Steel Roller. Like, I'm obviously Flare Blitzing here and Play Roughing. I just have to hope to not miss the Play Rough. Yeah. It could be Sash Vileplume. I kind of expect it to. I guess the other question is, does Life Orb Play Rough actually knock out Blastoise from that range? Maybe it survives. Maybe I should have Poltergeisted instead. That might have been the move. Okay, no Protect though. They don't go for Protect on either. So I lose here if they're Sash and they survive, but they're not Sash, so that should be game. Nice. Yeah, because now even... Actually, we could still miss the Play Rough, so I shouldn't say it's game yet. And also, Blastoise, I think, can have Max... Can I have Max Overgrowth? I don't think so. Okay, nice. Good job, Azumarill. Yeah, that was a really interesting team. I was wondering what the overall synergy was, because, like, there's Vileplume, but then my opponent led, what, Togedemaru and Copperajah, so it's not like you're setting up the sun for Vileplume. I'm surprised to not see Sash on the Vileplume. Really surprised not to see either Pokemon try to protect or Max Guard there, but maybe my opponent was hoping basically for a miss at that point. But really solid first 2 games, and yeah, I'm actually really curious on this team. So it was White Herb with Shell Smash, which I can't say I'm surprised by. Black Sludge Vileplume, really interesting. It was Effexvor as well. Torrent Mystic Water, Muscle Band Copperajah, Togedemaru with Air Balloon, and then Sash Gallade with Trick Room Brick Break Taunt. Huh. Yeah, I don't... Yeah, that's like a good example of a team that has like a lot of strong Pokemon. I was like curious what the cohesive strategy is there, because like... I guess, like, to me, like, that's why speed control is really important, right? And, like, I didn't really see great methods of speed control from my opponent's team. But I think, yeah, the Gallade plus the Copperajah combination was the thing I was most afraid of. I was just like, Copperajah under Trick Room sounds pretty scary because we're Trick Room as well, but Copperajah's base speed is lower. But fortunately, they weren't min speed Copperajah, so the Marowak just outspeeding it meant that we were in a really, really good position. So in the end... Honestly, yeah, Azumarill or Rillaboom wouldn't have made too much of a difference. Rillaboom just would have been guaranteed KO onto the Blastoise, but yeah. We're going up against a Rain team, and this is a pretty interesting take on Rain, because there's no Swift Swim user, right? It's just like Politoed, and I guess I wouldn't even call it really a Rain team, but the Politoed covers like the Fire-type weaknesses on Scizor and the Rillaboom, right? Which is pretty valuable for my opponent here. Okay. So... Their only Psychic resist is Scizor, but they could reverse Trick Room with their Porygon. Our Porygon doesn't have Thunderbolt as Psychic and Ice Beam. Max Marowak still looks insane here, like insanely good. I don't know. Like, I could just go Hat Indeedee. I'm still tempted for that, because like, it like ensures Trick Room going up at least, right? And then just Azumarill Marowak. The problem with the Azumarill Marowak is if like Porygon reverses our Trick Room, then I'm playing just with really slow Pokemon outside of Trick Room. So like, part of me wants to bring Porygon as well, but then it's like, who do I max, right? Like, I feel like I need more offense in this game, because, you know, you could wall the Azumarill decently with the Rillaboom. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna go Hat, Indeedee, Marowak, Azumarill. And this could be a good lesson for us where maybe like we realize, okay, if we don't get Trick Room up in this game, we just pretty much lose. So the big question here is basically how do I ensure Trick Room goes up and how do I ensure that it stays up, because the opposing Porygon can give us a fair amount of trouble. Of course, there are always mind games going up against opposing Trick Room users as well. Do we predict them to reverse our Trick Room? And if so, do we even not click Trick Room immediately? It's me, Scizor, Porygon, which is, I think, a really solid lead from their end. The thing here, honestly, is that I want to just go for double Expanding Force turn 1, because they can't really control the terrain, and I think, like, Porygon might feel pressure to reverse my Trick Room. If I call this correctly turn 1, we most likely just win the game, honestly. Because then another double Expanding Force just KOs you the subsequent turn. So I think I'm just going to go for it here, because I think my obvious play here is follow me Trick Room. But my opponent might be like, okay, like, there's no way they just go for the Trick Room in front of me. Porygon switches out. Okay, I gotta say, I didn't expect that. Okay, into Rillaboom. Makes sense. Am I worried about that? So they were like, they were content with getting letting me get Trick Room up. But I mean, of course, like this is what I'm saying. Maybe my opponent is Scizor Sword stances. Okay, that's fine though, honestly, because I think what I can do this next turn is just double protect and then follow me Trick Room. Because right now my opponent is really Marowak weak in my opinion. But this is exactly why you need Rillaboom on a team like this. Otherwise, Expanding Force just kind of destroys my opponent like immediately. Solid damage though. To do over 50% to Rillaboom, I think is a good start. Yeah, so let's just double protect here. Oh, not max. Protect, and then we can, just to block the fake out, and then the next turn we can just follow me Trick Room. Like I said, the goal of this game was to get Trick Room up. I didn't want to try to go for it on turn 1, because my opponent goes for Swords Dance Trick Room. I'm in pretty bad shape, I would say, because I waste a complete, like if I go for follow me Trick Room, I literally just lose an entire turn while Scizor gets a Swords Dance off. Here, at least, now what I've done is I forced the Porygon out, right? And you put on a fair amount of offensive pressure with both of these Pokemon, but at least I can double protect here, follow me Trick Room next turn, and with the Focus Sash on Hat, it should be a guaranteed survival. Unless, I guess, Rillaboom gets knockoff and it one-shots, and then you dual Wing Beat into the Hat. But they're just gonna Grassy Glide. Nice. And Bullet Punch. Yep, okay. So, no surprise there. What we want to do is basically sweep with Marowak in this game, right? The big question is, who do you max, actually, with my opponent's team? Because at this point, you've already revealed 3 of your 4 Pokemon. And I feel like Cinderace is the Pokemon that maxes the majority of the time on my opponent's team. Now I can just go for Trick Room, follow me, though. I have to worry about a bunch of things in this game, though. I have to worry about going for Max Phantasms blindly, because you could always just switch in Porygon into that slot, and also Max Flaring, because Politoed can switch it into whatever slot Flaring. So the type resist actually makes things like a little tricky here. But Indeedee takes that Bullet Punch, nice. Rillaboom actually has Snarl, interesting. I'm sure it's Assault Vest based off how well it took those Expanding Forces. Okay, fine by me. That's actually a really good play by my opponent, though, because you don't deny, you deny me from a free switch-in, basically, which is smart. We're 1 HP away from getting our Focus Sash back. However, Scizor now outspeeds the Hat. Sorry, outspeeds the Rillaboom. This turn, I kind of want to just hard switch into Marowak. I mean, if you're my opponent, what do? Bullet Punch, Grassy Glide? Like, I'm at -1 special attack, so I don't really do much damage right now, but I don't want to switch in Azumarill. I could sack the Hat, honestly, and get Marowak in for free. My opponent denying me a free switch in there was very, very smart. It's weird, because, like, I really want to get the Psy Spam stuff off here, but I have to be very... Like, if I'm my opponent, I'm probably Bullet Punching and Grassy Gliding, maybe both into Indeedee, but I can't risk taking damage. I think I sacked the... Yeah, I'll sack the Hat here so I can go for a Helping Hand the subsequent turn. The only problem is if they don't knock out my Hat, right? Especially because Rillaboom... It's probably Porygon coming back in, yeah. This is, my opponent's actually showing, I think, like, really a smart way to play around hard Trick Room, which is basically deny them free switch-ins and waste their turns of Trick Room. Because I'm nervous of just switching in Marowak and just eating up a huge attack, right? Okay, but here they actually give me the free switch-in, which is what we want, so that's good at least. Okay. The only problem is... What do we do now, right? Because, like, Porygon's back out, and that's gonna hurt really badly. I guess the main question I have here is basically, can I KO the Porygon with a Helping Hand Max Flare from the Marowak? Because if so, then I get more turns of Trick Room, right? Because I think your play here is just the reverse Trick Room. So yeah, I think that's the play I'm going to go for. Because Marowak beats Scizor and Rillaboom super hard. So we'll see how defensive Porygon is. You know, Porygons often are mixed between defense and special defense. The Helping Hand goes before the Bullet Punch here as well. I think Scizor might even opt considering to Protect. So like I think here, if you're my opponent, you might just want to go for Protect Trick Room or even just Bullet Punch Trick Room. Either way, I don't really care if you knock out the Indeedee, but I really need to make sure I have my last 2 turns of Trick Room left, because the goal often with this team is basically to sweep with Marowak under Trick Room, right? Let's see. Okay, we get Helping Hand off. No switch into Poly, which is good, because it means no rain's going up. Alright, Scizor just opts for Bullet Punch, but that's fine by me. Kind of expected. Great lead by my opponent, though, and great job denying me the free switch in, I think. So super well played overall on their end. They haven't even maxed yet, right? Oh. I bet that's a roll. I'd be really impressed if the Porygon was Count to survive that, but that will pretty much seal up our fate, I think. Unfortunate. I do think that was our best play, though. I guess we could have gone for Protect Flare into the Scizor, and that actually might have been better, because now... Yeah, if we Protect Flare, we just knock out Scizor, they reverse Trick Room, but then you still have to deal with Marowak. Oh, yeah, I think it pretty much hinged to whether we KO the Porygon there or not. So, it is what it is. I think Aqua Jet might still KO here. Sun is up, though, which obviously isn't super good, but I'm just going to Aqua Jet and Flare here. Marowak theoretically could win if my opponent's last one is like Talonflame, but the only problem here is that they haven't maxed yet either, so yeah. I was thinking the trading off Porygon for Indeedee there is totally fine, and I still think it's fine, but yeah, I thought we'd get the knockout on a Porygon. It hangs on with just a sliver of HP. Okay, he's gonna opt for Bullet Punch, so we should survive that. Question is whether all my 4 Aqua Jet KOs in Sun here, let's see. Oh my goodness. Well, I think I did almost everything in my power based off how my opponent was playing this. I think there are 2 different plays we could have made, which was just hard switching in Marowak. I'm really curious, because if we get the double knockout there, depending on what my opponent has in the back, like Marowak might have been able to pull this off, but yeah, after Porygon hangs on with like 2 to 3 HP there, it's pretty much not doable. So that Snarl was really good from the Rillaboom. I also wasn't expecting that, because I thought surely my opponent would just give me a free knockout. The reason that was so bad, it was Politoed in the back. So I really do think, yeah, if we KO the Porygon on the Helping Hand turn, we actually have a pretty good shot of winning this. Because we still have extra turns of Trick Room. We have Weather Control with the Marowak. I guess you max the Politoed now, probably. But I can't Protect with the Azumarill. So, yeah, I guess I can Phantasm into the Politoed. I mean, if we KO Politoed, we win this game, right? Yeah. I have to hope to basically survive an attack from the Poly, and then double up with Phantasm and play rough. I guess the survival on Porygon doesn't make much of a deal, because if we pick up a double knockout, you bring out Rillaboom, and because I don't have Protect on Azumarill, I'm just 1 Grassy Glide away. We get disconnected. I don't know if that was on my end. That might have been on my end. No. That was on my opponent's end. Okay, I'm sure that was just their internet dropping, but that was unfortunate, because I think that game was locked up for them. The only way we could win is if... I think the problem is because we don't have Protect on the Azumarill, so all we need to do... Like, even though that counts as a win, I guess, in the record, like, that was told... Like, they outplayed us. And I think there are actually a lot of good lessons that you guys should take away from that. So, I'm sad about that, because I wanted to see them get the win that they deserved. But... At the end of the day, I think if you're watching this and you want to say, like, how do I beat Trick Room? This is a really good answer, right? Lead so that they can't just go for their safe Follow Me Trick Room play. So that's why I didn't go for Follow Me Trick Room, right? And they made the better play turn 1. They didn't try to just reverse my Trick Room immediately. They're like, I'm just going to switch in Rillaboom, which I thought was a very proactive play. That was a really smart play right from turn 1. Another really smart play they made was going for the Snarl instead of just knocking out my Indeedee. If you knock out my Indeedee, I get the free switch into Marowak, and that's really good, right? And then ultimately, I think one play I could have made... There were 2 opportunities I could have done better, which was just hard switching to my Marowak instead of sacking Indeedee. At that point, though, it's not like a super guaranteed play because I'm at risk of like a Life Orb dual Wing Beat prediction, which is still pretty scary. And then maybe bringing Porygon over Azumarill. I think because I saw Porygon on my opponent's team, I should be like this is a Trick Room team, right? So the goal should be to have Trick Room up the majority of the time. And because I know my opponent has a bulky Trick Room user that can reverse my Trick Room, it's pretty likely I won't get all my turns of Trick Room up, and so maybe bringing Porygon over Azumarill could have been better. The only downside of that is I'm putting all my eggs in the Marowak basket, but Indeedee did pretty well offensively against my opponent's team there as well. But yeah, anticlimactic finish. That's super unfortunate their internet dropped there, because that was definitely their win at that point. Even if the Poly Max Geyser doesn't KO us, like, yeah, because the only way we could win is, actually, I don't really think there's much of an opportunity. Yeah, and the main problem is because we don't have Protect on Azumarill. If Azumarill has Protect, then we can maybe correctly guess who is Grassy Gliding us, assuming that the Phantasm and the Play Rough double up even KOs the Politoed, which I don't think it does, to be honest. So, yeah, I think my opponent was basically like 2 turns away from winning that. But really nicely played on their end, where like they didn't Dynamax, their team was pretty defensive, but they basically made sure that I couldn't get very much damage off. And I don't know if Double Expanding Force was the right play turn 1 just because of the Rillaboom threat. Like, I said they had no terrain control, but obviously they had the Rillaboom switch in, so I think I didn't respect that enough, and I didn't get enough out of that first turn. So that's a good demonstration of how Swords Dance Scizor could be pretty good. A lot of people have been asking me, hey, what do you think about Scizor? Do you think it's any good in this metagame? And I think, like, against this team composition specifically, how my opponent played that was really, really smart, so props to them. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you, as always, for watching. And, yeah, hope you guys are all doing well. Let me know how Series 5 has been going for you in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon. All right, peace.